I think it's important to like separate your own taste from what you have to express. It's really not about you. I was bent on like making something that has a real unique watermark. That's much harder to create alone.
Okay.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time.
Of course. I'm so excited to be on this side of the interview. What do you want people to take away from the album?
I sort of am always convinced I have no fans.
That's what
Yeah.
Interesting.
I feel like some of your super fans are such super fans that like
Then they're
I'm an
fans of
expansion
yours.
pack.
Right.
And that's great. I feel like that's so nice.
That's not true though.
But anytime anyone's like, I love his solo music, I'm like, word? I can't believe it.
Right.
But you know, I'm doing these 3 shows when this album comes out and they all sold out, which is shocking to me.
Yeah.
But I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll play the show.
Okay, so wait, why did you choose For Crying Out Loud to be the title?
I thought it was sort of vague and a fun thing that
It's a great
I've
title.
said my whole life.
Yeah.
And I thought the songs have a kind of an exasperated vibe. There's a kind of a like argumentative vibe in the music. And I think For Crying Out Loud is such a like thing you say in an argument. Like reminded me of something our parents have said to us our whole life.
Yeah.
For Crying Out Loud. I just thought it was like a cute sentiment. It's kind of got a double meaning, right? I like the for something.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I like that it's like crying
Yeah.
and
then
also
an
exclamation point. It's really cute. It
Yeah, it's
sounds
got
very...
some character.
Hold on.
Not our first rodeo.
No.
This is so pretty.
I know.
I love LA.
I know.
La La Land ass lighting.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I was puzzled about what to call this album before. I wrote that song last, and then I was puzzled about what to call the album until that song existed. And then I was like, oh, this is the album's called this, which was a relief.
Right.
There's a kind of an art direction side to making a new album.
Yeah.
That is like my work is kind of done, right?
I know. I'm
So,
not at all done when we finish albums.
100%. We finish recording an album and you do photo shoots and
Video
video
shoots, tour
and
design, all that
just
stuff.
sort of general creative direction
Yeah.
and album packaging, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You drown yourself for a day to
Yeah,
shoot
yeah.
the cover. So anyway.
Also, it was award season,
And
by
it was
the way.
award season, so we're doing
Ugh,
an award show every
brutal.
weekend, which was stressful.
yeah.
And fun, but stressful. And so right after the Oscars, because I knew that would happen, and then I was like, whether we win or lose, I was pretty sure we were gonna lose. I was like, I wanna have something on my calendar to do
Right.
while you're shooting videos
Yeah.
and album cover.
Do you want to talk about the album cover at all?
Sure. Yeah, the album cover was kind of an accident. I was shooting the For Crying Out Loud music video, and I had Claudia in the video and on set with me, and we took these photos. Muriel, who's a photographer who I love, she just took these like BTS photos, and we cropped Claudia out of that photo.
amazing.
And it had a real like
Crop
Chet
is-
Baker.
I was just gonna say the Chet
vibe
Baker
to me.
reference.
Yeah.
It's like Frank Sinatra.
I look
Chet
so
Baker.
kind of like unsettled and stressed, which is a reflection of how I was behaving on that music video shoot. And she's holding my hand. But I'm not looking at, I don't know, there's something kind of cool. She's clearly looking at me and I'm holding her hand and kind of like looking away. Which is sort of how you are when you're tortured by something. The
Yeah.
amount of times I've been like on the road with you during something and you've like just rolled your ankle and you're so like zoned in on your
I know.
pain and your stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
So I like
there's,
that.
all you can do is focus on it. Yeah, I think so too. And it's just like a very striking photo. And
Yeah.
I think it's like memorable.
You
and it's
chose
you.
this photo.
I did.
You were like, I love that one the most. And I was like, done. I trust your opinion a lot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, you showed me a bunch of different photos from that shoot, and I was like, this one.
Yeah.
And this crop is so good. Because the crop, like, if it was just the full image, it's like, okay.
There they are.
And the crop really says a lot, I think.
I agree.
Like, the crop is, like, totally, like, an unspoken...
The album cover
Message in
should
a way.
be like the thing you see when you hear the songs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, but like you hear songs and you're not looking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're hearing songs and wearing headphones and sitting on a plane. You're not staring at the album cover, but it should be.
But it should reflect the songs.
In your brain.
I know.
I'm very guilty of like literally not listening to songs on playlists because I'm like, I hate that album cover.
I know.
Are you that way?
Yeah, 100%.
And then I'll listen to it. I'm like,
or song title.
I'm like, I love this song.
I know. Song title, I won't listen to it because I don't like the song title.
I think that there's an epidemic of people not understanding what the best title of their song is.
100,000%.
I sit around with artists and they play me songs that I have nothing to do with, and I'm like, that's not what the song should be called.
Couldn't tell you which song is which because they're all named like Push or like Two. Or like Thumbsucker.
The way you said Push is so awesome.
And it has like nothing to do with the song.
It's like if we named Birds of a Feather Stay.
Which is what we were gonna do.
But it's like,
I know.
Don't do that.
I know.
It's not the title.
I know.
People don't get it.
I know we both feel the same about like being in nature and not being in a dark windowless studio, and like LA is the most beautiful place in the world and it's just so nice to be outside and with
I'm
I don't
just
even know
straight up so much happier if I can see sunlight.
I know.
Certainly in the summertime, like I'm happier generally because the days are longer. And so like, for example, like if I am in some session or whatever and I come outside and the sun is down, like I'm pretty bummed out about it.
I know.
So yeah, the studio where we work, which obviously you've done tons of rehearsals at and we've done tons of stuff at, has these big ass windows.
I know.
Which is like the number one reason I wanted to work there.
I know.
Just so I could see the daylight. I couldn't care less about like a luxurious environment of equipment.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't need like expensive anything. I just want like to be in a nice smelling and looking room. I feel like people come over to work with me for the first time and they're like, wow, the studio smells so good because I got candles and incense burning, and it's like,
and you can see what time of day it is just by looking out the window. That's my favorite thing.
Yeah, I remember I
hate not having windows.
Yeah, I had some artists like over one time and they were just like, I love this room. Like people are just like used to working in like horrible caves.
I know.
I'd rather work in somebody's living room with no equipment than, work in a studio that's got like an expensive console or something.
So true.
But I like to work during the day. That's when I'm inspired. And then I like to go home.
No, I've done all of my tour rehearsals this week, in a completely dark studio.
Black.
And when I leave, it's dark out and I haven't seen the sun for like 5 days straight, and I'm like gonna go insane. I love LA, man. Really love LA. Were you writing all of it like on your own, or was anyone else writing at all?
Well, everybody would write their own stuff, right? So for a song like Cleats, Rat would be playing that cute guitar
stuff,
part.
right.
And I was like, that's really awesome. And then I'd be like top lining it. I'd be coming up with lyrics and melodies. And that was sort of true of everybody. Everybody's kind of like lifting whatever they were doing,
right?
Which was cool.
For anyone who has never jammed with friends, it is
so fun.
So much fun. I mean, the most I've jammed is like you. And actually, no, the first time was with you and Rat and David on your birthday. And I just remember like just watching you guys all play and like being in, it's just the most, it's so satisfying and fun. And I feel like when you told me that you were making an album basically by jamming, I just was like, that's a really solid plan. And was it fun? Like it is for jamming?
It was so fun. I mean, the reason I did it that way was to have fun. I think the Optimist, which I made a couple years ago, I made in like the loneliest possible way. And I didn't think it was like so great because I made it alone.
Yeah.
I just sort of was like, that's the best I could do. And I'm proud of that album and I learned stuff making it, but just on a selfish level, I was like, I'm gonna have so much more fun if I make this album in a more social way.
100%.
And I just have all these like talented friends.
I mean, David has been like one of your best friends since high school.
Yep.
Rat has been your best friend for a couple of years.
Yep.
Aaron, we've known since I was 14, you were 18.
The whole time.
And Lucy's awesome.
New. Yeah, Lucy's great.
But
she's great.
But it was just cool because it was like, it really was just like jamming with friends.
Yeah, 100%.
And I really love that it sounds live, except that there's, you went back and you re-recorded stuff. Yeah. But like, I think that it's so cool, and it like sounds like listening to like memories. Mm. Did you have any like worries about what this stuff was going to be about, or what
writer's block?
Writer's block, yeah.
I had two things. One was that I'd spent some time kind of writing little titles and stuff on a notes app, and like Cleats was like a title that I had. I just thought that was a cute title, and I kind of knew what that song would be about. And so when Rat started playing the guitar part, I was like, oh, that's going to be that song, cute. I think. And then the other side of it was like a sort of a thing I've been feeling for a while now, and you and I already do this, but like it's become really popular to sing about the most specific stuff. And really popular to be like, I went on a walk on this street at this time, and you sent me a text and a photo of a sunset, and like very kind of like pedestrian songwriting.
Or you can also see right through it and know exactly who it's all about too.
Yeah, and like, or that it's like really not about you. Somebody sings about something, so they're like, you relate to my graduation. And you're like, okay, it's very specific. That's totally great, but I think it's become a little bit oversaturated. And I stand by like a lot of my favorite songs are kind of vague. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of my favorite songs are very emotional,
yeah,
but they're not saying like somebody's name.
They're up for interpretation.
They're up for interpretation. So I was very bent on like making stuff for interpretation on this record. Even songs like Little Window, which is like very specifically about like looking at like TikTok. It's like, I never say that, you know what I mean? Right. It's all just kind of about living vicariously, and that can be broad. It's not super specific.
Right.
I'd love to write a song about heartbreak and not have to be heartbroken that day.
Right.
Because they can't do it all the time forever.
I know.
So if I'm only limiting myself to like autobiographical stuff.
Right. Well, that's what I was just going to ask. How much of this album was autobiographical versus storytelling / fiction / based on a friend, based on something else?
There's little threads of me and everything, and then there's a lot of storytelling and everything.
Yeah.
It's a little like when people make a big album and then they make another album and the whole next album is about pressure. That's such a like stupid trope, and like
I know
so many albums of like pressure, and I'm like, that's the least interesting
I know
type of
it's
song
the least
ever.
Relatable thing in the world.
But it's just also like not interesting.
I know.
You know what I mean?
What do you think your favorite song making process is? Like if it's songwriting or producing or whatever, like how do you like it the most? What's your ideal way of writing?
I would say that like my favorite process ever is it's hard to beat What Was I Made For? Hard to beat like having an inspiration.
I know.
And
yeah,
having all this kind of like, I don't know, if like that was like a full shopping cart of material.
Right.
It's like, oh my gosh, look at all this data. And then you and I sit there and we write a song. And I don't know, I just remember having written that song and feeling like so good.
Yeah, I know.
And I think that sometimes, honestly, when we did the Guess remix, I think we were pretty gassed.
Yeah.
You know?
I was like, I know what you write about.
Yeah, we wrote it and then we recorded it right when we wrote it, and then you took a bounce home. Like that stuff is so fulfilling.
I know.
By contrast, these sessions, I didn't really go home with bounces because they were all kind of rough, and then I sort of took them all back and cleaned them up. So between writing these songs and then really working on them alone was a kind of a process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part about making the album?
The hardest part was like sifting through hours of like basically editing it was really hard. So like there's a song on the album called Sweet Cherries, and that was like the 6th day or something, and everybody was jamming and it was very cool, but I had no good song ideas that day, and so I would sing gibberish and then they'd jam. We never got to a place where I was like repeating anything or the guitar parts were repeating or anything like that, and so I went home with like an 8-hour recording of like nonsense, and then I had to go through 8 hours and find the best part of the drums and the best little thing. And so that was tedious and annoying. And then I had to write sort of like lyrics I was proud of over it, have it make sense. Family Feud actually was like taking little pieces, and then bless him, David was singing into a like vocoder that whole song. but we were all in the same room. And so the vocoder would be like, right? But in the guitar mic, you just hear David like, like singing. And so I kept having to like mute the guitar, or you'd hear like, instead of hearing the cool vocoder, you'd hear him like, whoa. And it sounded so crazy. So just kind of like fixing little things like that.
Anytime we're using like autotune for effect or anything, I'm like,
you sing worse.
I'm like, oh, this sounds so sick. And if you took the autotune off of it,
I'd
worse,
be like,
Whew.
It is crazy.
Okay, let's talk about What's It Gonna Take to Break Your Heart,
yes.
which I think it's one of my favorites.
Thanks.
I just
means a lot.
I love that song, so talk about it.
Okay, so that song, like 9 of the 10 songs was like a jam. David was doing this like crazy drum loop thing on an old drum machine, and then Aaron started playing this kind of jazzy bass line, and Miles was doing this cool thing on the drums. And
Miles.
Sure.
This is cute to me. Miles is who FINNEAS had as his drummer, and is now FINNEAS' drummer for his tour as well. He is the drummer from Bad Sons, which was FINNEAS' favorite band.
So true.
And was like all
so
like
important to me.
So important to FINNEAS and me, and such a huge part of our lives.
As like an 18-year-old, I was like just trying to rip off Bad Sons.
100%.
Yeah.
It was like his life. I mean, everything.
I was so excited.
It was all about Bad Sons. And
I thought they were so talented.
This is just a little like fact, which is really cute to me with all of it. It's just like so full circle that
one of our 2 managers is a guy named Danny Ruckeson, and we know Danny Ruckeson because Danny manages a producer named Eric who produced the band Bad Sons. And the reason that I got to know Danny was that I cold called him. I sent him an email when I was like 17 about wanting to work with this producer, Eric, because I love this band so much. So that's really kind of the whole genesis of the fact that we know Danny.
The fact this is the only reason I got a manager in the first place, and then things.
This is all true. Good pull.
Yeah, but so it's just cute to me, and it's sweet that that's your drummer.
Anyway, we had this kind of cool thing, and I came up with that little like, what's it gonna take to break your heart? So Lucy was sitting at a Nord, and I used to use this setup when I would open for you. That was like, I'd run my voice through like a vocoder and a chord harmonizer thing. And just to be fun and creative, I gave that to Lucy in these sessions. I was like,
so cool.
I was like, why don't you just always be on kind of like vocoder and harmonies? And then that song became this like cool call and response thing that she really killed. It was really fun to do.
So good.
That song had a real vibe. Like when we had that song done, I was like, oh, I feel excited about this. That's not a song I've made as a solo performer yet.
Yeah, I think that's what was also cool about the whole album, is that it really feels like new stuff for you. It feels like songs that I haven't heard you write, and I think that's really
I thought probably what would be the easiest for me to write would be another album of ballads, and I thought I probably wouldn't
so good at that.
Grow from doing that.
Right.
So this was the exploration of not doing that.
What was your favorite song to make? And or what is your favorite, or like one of your favorites from the album now?
I think my favorite song to make in terms of like flow was this song that ends the album called Lotus Eater. That came out really quick, and I just like had a great time. Like, I think that sometimes it's important to like separate your own taste from what you have to express. And that song's very much like my taste. Like, that's the song that I'd be the biggest fan of on the record. Which isn't to say that it's like my best work. It's just like privately, I'm like, I love this song.
Yeah.
I love what everybody else is playing. What's up?
I love you.
She's leaving.
Oh, you're leaving.
Love you, Mom.
Love you. Drive safe. Where are you going?
She's a call. Love you. Careful down the mountain.
That has such a last time anyone ever saw her vibe.
She's skipping down
running
the
off
mountain.
with the gray hair and the wind. I have such a vivid memory of spring of 2019 with you, when We All Fall Asleep had just come out.
Brutal time.
And we were doing this like US tour in like bigger venues than I ever thought we'd play. We were playing like Red Rocks and Radio City Music Hall, and we played that venue up in Seattle. It was like on like a river.
Oh, like June 2019.
June of 2019.
Oh yeah, great time.
And I don't know, I just remember thinking like all of these like amphitheaters, any outdoor like venue or stage,
Oh, God,
just
that was
like
a good time.
the cutest, like what's a cuter vibe than like...
Nothing is cuter.
This looks like it'd sit about 50 people, and I can't think of a place I'd rather like sit and watch a show.
Totally.
It's just so cute.
I love a little outdoor stage amphitheater.
I'm amazed that you're not doing your horse girl gallop on this thing, man. It's real, shows real growth.
That's what I used to do all day, every day, everywhere we went.
Did it feel like riding a bike? Did it come right back to you just now? Did you feel insanely
it came right
good?
back. One of my big memories with the amphitheaters was, I think you can guess, which was when you were like 11 or something.
Okay.
And I was a little kid, and we would go on this hike near where we grew up, and it was this college campus, and they like had an amphitheater, and we would always like pretend to put on shows on our little hikes with Dad.
Yeah.
And then FINNEAS, we would always shoot like fake music videos.
Oh my God, I know where this is going.
We
shot that on a cell phone.
We'd always shoot fake music videos to songs we loved, and FINNEAS was doing one to Burn It Down by Linkin Park. And I remember the shot was like him at the bottom of the stairs.
And then I teleport.
Yeah, going, "We're building it up!" And then on the word up, suddenly he's like, it's like this. Wait, you guys should do it, edit like this. Okay, wait, go here. And this is what it is. "We're building it up!" And then it cut to this. Up to break it back down. And then he was like at the bottom again. It was the coolest thing in the world. And I remember being like, I want to do that. I want to make music videos. And
we never even edited it.
And then you made, remember you made another music video?
Oh, an iMovie video in our backyard.
You made another iMovie video where we were doing magic?
We were reversing videos.
Yeah. And then there was one day where you had like a meltdown and you deleted all
I didn't have a meltdown, it just like went away.
No, you literally were like, I hate these, and you deleted all of them, and I was really upset.
Sorry I did that.
Anyway, amphitheaters are a big, like, childhood memory. And yeah, it's true, that summer 2019 vibe was amazing.
I just remember thinking, like, if I can ever, like, play my own shows and play any outdoor venues, like, that'll be...
I know, that's your thing. Amphitheaters are really the sweet spot. Anyway. I guess what was like the most inspiring thing in the making of your album?
Yeah, the most inspiring thing was being reactive to the room, you know, like just letting the people in the room do their thing. There was like a moment where like I wrote the first song on the album, Starfucker, alone. That's the only song I wrote alone on the record. Mm-hmm. And I never even...
That was a while ago too.
I wrote it last summer, yeah. But I never even brought it in until I had already recorded it because I just didn't want to like... I didn't want to influence it too much. Like I thought if I sat around and wrote a bunch of songs and then came in, I'd have all these preconceptions. I'd be like, maybe the drum should be like this. Maybe and it's like, I'd rather just like the people do something cool and be able to like, there were definitely times where I'd be like, I'm not connecting with that. Like that's not interesting to me. And then we'd change it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just being reactive was inspiring. The music thing is like so random. I feel like sometimes I work with people and like I can really tell what they're listening to because it's really coming through in their influences.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't feel that way personally.
I agree.
I might be like influenced by something very random. I might like hear like a little vocal flip. Do you know what I mean? Like a little like somebody does some cool 2-note thing and I'm like, that's fresh.
I know.
And then I might try to sort of like experiment with that, but it's never like a genre or anything.
Yeah.
It's also like a kind of a continuation, I think, in my goal of always making sure that whatever I'm making is very separated from whatever we make together. And obviously you're such a huge piece of why your music sounds the way it is. But I think I also like, I don't want to then take things that were inspiring to me when we were working and go and kind of like copy them and do them again. And so I thought like, room full of people that weren't even there, that weren't even in the room when Billie and I made this album will be really helpful in making something that has a real unique watermark and no one's like, this sounds like, you know what I mean?
It's a whole different, I feel like it's a whole different audience.
I have a really eclectic taste, as you do.
Yeah.
You and I'll go to like a Feist show one night and then a Turnstile show and then a, you know, Denzel Curry show or whatever. Like it's very eclectic. Mm-hmm. But if somebody is like, Billie is their favorite artist, I do not expect them to be like FINNEAS is my second favorite artist.
It's like a totally different fan base.
Yeah.
In terms of the music.
Yeah.
But you have fans though.
Some of them.
You do have fans.
I'm honored, but I'm always suspicious. When I was 12 or 13, Wonders of the Younger by the Plain White T's came out. And I remember seeing Tom, the singer, do an interview. And he got asked the question about genre. And he was like, yeah, I don't know, like, is it pop? Is it singer-songwriter? Like, is it alternative? Is it indie? Whatever. And he goes, it's all rock and roll, baby. And I loved that answer, and I have thought
Plain White T's is not at all rock and roll.
But it's all rock and roll, baby. Like, it is. Like, rock and roll should be what we describe, like to me, it is all rock and roll. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like...
all of it.
It's all rock and roll.
It's all rock and roll.
Anything's rock and roll that isn't, like, classical. Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
That isn't, like... you know, maybe jazz or classical. But even jazz was like pretty rock and roll when jazz was like very punk and iconoclastic when it happened. So it's it's kind of all rock and roll.
I literally never thought about what genre a song of ours, when we were making it, was ever one time ever.
Well, because all we cared about growing up was like the Beatles, and the Beatles make songs that are in kind of whatever genre they want to make.
Yeah, honestly, genres really piss me off. They really do. I don't really... It just doesn't really make sense. It's like putting people in genres. It's like people are all people. Like, why would we? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like Sabrina Carpenter's new album is such a pop album, but then there's like little country moments where she's singing with like a twang. It's
Love
great.
That.
What are we supposed to do? Be like, re-diagnose that? Be like, oh,
yeah.
No.
This is pop country.
It's pop.
Yeah.
It's also rock and roll.
I know.
Taste is like big ass guitars and drums, and it's all rock and roll, baby.
Rock and roll. What were you?
Hey there, Delilah. Rock and roll.
Seriously. How are you picturing your
show?
Your show.
Super musician focused, just like a bunch of like probably as little going on that aren't cool lights as possible, just like everybody jamming and playing, and I don't really want to be like super in front of everybody, you know what I mean?
It's a band.
Exactly.
You want to be in the band. I love that.
In terms of the goals I went into this project with, or maybe like the hopes I had for it, I knew that I would probably be doing the most live shows I'd ever done of my own music. So I had a real goal of like, I want to make an album that's really fun to tour. It was also part of the reason I wanted to have like the people, like Rat played my last tour with me. And so I was like, oh, he'll probably be on the next one. So if he's in the writing, recording process, that'll be more fun for everybody.
Right.
How has it been to rehearse without me?
Honestly, it's really sad and hard.
I'm so sorry.
No. But I was gonna say that honestly, it's a bit of a relief because I feel like I spend almost all of my time on tour and in rehearsals like, oh my God, FINNEAS probably wants to leave, or like, oh my God, FINNEAS is unhappy, or FINNEAS doesn't want to be. I mean, it's like I just look up to you so much, and I want you to have the best time of anyone.
I think it's one of my worst. It's one of my worst qualities.
No.
I took Mom and Dad and Claudia to see Feist 2 years ago, and I thought it was like one of the best shows I'd ever seen. And we finished.
Yeah.
And I said to everybody I was with, I was like, that was like one of the best shows I've ever seen. And all three of them were like, the whole time, all I could think was like, what is FINNEAS gonna think?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting.
We're very. That you're
like someone on our team will ask, be like, here's some photos of you to approve for this thing, and you'll go, no, I'm not gonna approve any of them. And they're like, well, so, and you're like, you can use any of them. Whatever. I heard FINNEAS go like, oh, well, I hate every photo of me that exists in the world.
Pretty
so
much.
Why would I approve one? They can use any. They're all equally terrible.
I hate all of them, yeah.
But he also doesn't really care about that stuff.
The bone to pick I have is if I'm looking in two directions in the photo, flag it. Don't make me.
You do have a wandering eye.
Yeah. Don't make me. They show me a photo of myself. Then where I'm like, wonk. They're like, you good with this? And I'm like, no, I look insane.
Oh God. But with that being said, it's very sad not having you. But also I'm like, I think it'll just be, it's like so not over in any sense at all.
No,
it's like you're, you know, I'm excited for you to come for, you know, I'm excited for you to not just, you know, there's nothing wrong with being a band member at all, but I'm excited for you to not have to do the thing you hate the most, which is wait around and, you know.
That's so funny.
And then I don't want to be like stressed out about.
But to be clear, I have loved touring with you.
I know.
I've loved it.
I mean, if I were to somehow...
If I had infinite time, I would do all your shows.
If I were to like lose all of the fans and nobody cared about me anymore, but I was still doing like little shows, it would just be you and me. And it would be us. Like, no big production, no warm-ups, no, you know...
So funny.
Anything.
But like, all of it's great. I mean, the show that you put on...
It's just a whole different thing.
But if you do 5 weeks of this or whatever, and you call me and you say, I can't really do this, I'll drop everything and come do it. For the record.
That's so nice.
I mean it.
I could cry.
I would do that.
Do you think this is a spider bite or a pimple?
On your forehead?
Yeah.
It's pretty big.
Right? It's like a ball.
Bite. Yeah.
I know. It hurts really bad.
Oh no. How recent? It's pretty big.
2 nights ago it appeared.
Oh.
I do have a lot of spiders around my house.
It could be a pimple.
In my house even.
You spent a lot of time younger grabbing people's arms and going, spider crawling up your arm. And it bites you, it bites you.
I did.
So much time.
I did spend a lot of time.
Saying that and doing that. This looks like some place our dad would take us to.
I know.
Our dad also like was always taking us up the Angeles Crest Highway to like go hang out and like, I don't know, I just have such fond, vivid memories of like going to random beautiful places with both parents. I feel like they're really, like they're real appreciators of kind of simple, beautiful stuff.
Yep.
Which they passed on to us. I feel like I may in fact try to convince you to go on a hike with me after this.
No! I'm wearing the wrong shoes.
Can you believe how far we've come?
Look at us. We hiked this whole mountain.
Yeah. Love you.
Love you so much. My favorite person in the whole world. Truly. Really love you so much, FINNEAS.
Me too.
You mean everything to me and more.
I feel this way.
I feel this way. I'm wondering like how you feel like you grew as an artist in the making of this album, if you did at all, and if you didn't, that's fine. But also like, what did you learn from this making process? And also like, what would you do again? What would you not do again? Kind of thing.
Yeah, I probably, in terms of like growth, I think as a singer, I took more risks.
Nice, love that.
I think partially because of the decibels. Like you have a really loud room.
Well, you have like an amazing range that I feel like you don't even. Yeah, you kind of underdo it sometimes.
Well, that's very sweet of you.
You totally have.
But if you're sitting and playing, it's a little like if you're sitting and playing a ballad, you're gonna sing appropriately. But if you have like drums crashing,
right,
you're gonna like belt more. So I think I did more vocally than I have done previously, which was satisfying. Mm-hmm. I would do some version of it again. Like part of the reason it was special was because I hadn't really done it. So I wouldn't want to like try to repeat it to get the same thing because that wouldn't be interesting to me. But like it was helpful and inspiring because it was different and new.
Yeah.
You were very nice about the songs while I was making them.
I loved the songs. When
Thanks,
I mean, they're so good. They really are so good. And you are really the most talented person that I know, and you always have been. And I'm just like endlessly proud of you and think
so nice of you.
You're truly the best to ever do it. So nobody will ever top you, and that's that. And
you're so brainwashed.
You're literally
that's so sweet of you.
And I just think so highly of you, and you're literally like the only thing important in my life.
I feel the same way. I love you so much. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
And everybody listen to For Cryin Out Loud on October 4th when it comes out. And FINNEAS is amazing, and
love you.
We love you.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. I've never done an interview like this before. Love you so much.
Love you.
You're just holding a rock?
Just some stuff. You gonna come over and work on the tour intro?
Sure.
Yeah,